You want some bad news, Michael?
No.
What are you asking me?
You're the guru of the gray matter. I figured if anybody had it, you'd have the answer.
I can't give you any direction.
I think I'm going to have to change this channel. I'm sorry.
You're completely wrong.
I refuse to be wrong on 2 calls in a row.
Tell me I'm spot on or tell me I'm crazy as all get out.
I have no idea.
I have a 6-month-old, so we'll be raising him according to Dr. Ray.
Talk about being a winner.
So, you want my question?
You ain't making any sense.
You're absolutely right. I just needed confirmation.
So what are you going to do about it, Dawn?
I'm calling you.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
That poor woman is desperate. What are you going to do about it? I'm calling you. Did you pick up the desperation in her voice? Good to have you on this day after New Year's. I know my producer man Andrew Kruchek says, don't do that, you'll date the show. Yeah, I'm not allowed to date anymore. I'm married. That's one of my wife's demands in marriage. I know. Hey, good to have you with me. The program here. The doctor is in. Dispensing a very powerful drug. Its brand name was Dacazin. It went off patent. About 3 years ago. So you can get the generic, tricyclinol. The generic is usually the reruns. That's the generic. It's very helpful. You get it through your ears. Wisdad syndrome cures that. Bratus majoris, acute or chronic, it cures that. All you got to do is call 877-573-7825. 877-57 equal. All those days off that come from the holidays are now gone. Maybe not for you if you're a teacher, you're around, or taking some extra time during these holidays. Myself, I felt compelled to come back here. A couple times I went out to eat with my wife. I don't know if it was my imagination. It seemed to be a lot more bratty kids. And I'm thinking, could that be related to me not being on the air? I can't make a definitive tie, but it's possible. It's very possible, especially in this area. So, 877-57 equal. If you have a question about something in your life, about someone in your life, something in your life, some place in your life, a sum of money in your life. I'm a psychologist. My professional work I do in the office. Don't do much consulting anymore like I used to, but I still have a private practice. But here on the radio show, we can give tips, some education, some hopefully nuggets that are useful for you. 877-57 equal is the number to call to get onto the program. Well, I finally got the info that I wanted to get. We will be filming, good Lord permitting, down in Ave Maria University, January 28th and 29th. Shows will be at 5:30 and 7:15 both nights. Living Right with Dr. Ray. That's the television show on EWTN, 14th season. And it's filmed before a live audience. My opinion, the audience makes the show. You are the ones who ask the questions. You are the ones who interact. You are the ones who are supposed to clap when you see the sign. And some of you are a little sloppy at that. So if you would like to be part of the audience down at Ave Maria University, all the information you need can be found at eventbrite.com. Event, B-R-I-T-E. Real cutesy way to spell bright, isn't it? Eventbrite.com. You go straight there, pops right up. You can sign up for 1 show, 2 shows, 3 shows, 4 shows. You can bring the kids. You can bring the goldfish. In between shows, we will feed you if you choose to stick around. Love to have you. Eventbrite.com. Ave Maria University. And you got kids looking at universities, and you're thinking about Ave down there? You can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You can see the place. You can also take part of the program. All right. Well, it's going to happen. Now, I had a physical issue that has kept me from weightlifting for the last 2 months. I have not weightlifted for over 50 years. It's been by far the longest stretch. So I may not see this directly, but typically, my brother and I and those I lift with, we know that it gets very crowded in the place. I'd say from about January 2 to February 8. Crowded. A lot of folks coming in. Deciding, you know what, I need to do something here. This is good for me, and all the research is overwhelming that strength training is absolutely the best medicine for growing older better. Absolutely. One of the questions we get from people is, how do you stay at it? And our answer is very simple. Just show up. Just show up. You cannot debate. You can't say, and by the way, you only have to do it twice a week. You can't say, well, I don't know. I know tonight's kind of dreary. It's raining out there. Not feeling really up to it. Sort of tired. And wouldn't it be nice just to kind of stay at home here and sit on the couch, eat pizza. You debate internally, you'll lose. You can't debate. And that includes not just working out or exercising or dieting or going out a little more socially or visiting places you don't want to visit, going to nursing homes where your Aunt Mary is and you don't like it there because it doesn't smell too good and yeah, she's kind of not with it. And you start to debate before doing something you know is good. You lose. Why? Well, because your desire for the moment is going to be stronger than your desire for the future. Yeah, for the moment, visiting Aunt Mary in the nursing home is it's a little bit of a demand, and it's not the easiest visit. I don't even know if she knows I'm there half the time, or if she even forgets, because the last time I went, she said, I never see ya. So it's easy not to go. But you can look at the future and say, I did that. The Lord wanted me to do that, so I did that. Or to say to yourself, all right, I'm going to go do some intermittent fasting. It's a good way to lose weight, and I'm going to decide no eating after 4 o'clock. That's it. None. Zero, zip, nada. Monday through Friday. No eating after 4 o'clock. Oh, it's around 5:30, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, come on, what's a little bit of chips going to do here? Right? Come on, ain't that much. You start to debate, you'll lose, you'll get the chips. Ignore the internal debate. It's kind of like just show up. When I was younger, I used to look forward to lifting weights. Couldn't wait to go in there. See what I could do. And when you're younger, you make progress all the time. When you're older, what you do is you start trying to slow down regress. So you don't get the natural reward that you got when you were younger. What you're doing now when you're lifting weights is you're trying to stay in some kind of strength for your age. So it's a lot harder. So for me to say, yeah, I can't wait to go push against gravity. If I started thinking like that, I'd lose. I wouldn't go. It's got to be a matter of just do it. Don't think about it. You can't think about it. So much that is good that we don't do is because we think about it. It's got to be automatic. It's got to be something that you know is good for you in the long run. Or you know that our Lord wants you to do it because it's good for you and it's good for others. Yeah, I don't really want to call him. He's probably should just to say hello and see how he's doing, and I got to listen to him whine and complain, but he is my brother. It's easier just not to call. I'm in a good mood. I don't want to have a come down. Yeah, see, start the debate, you won't call. It's real simple. But if you know it's a good thing to do, you say, okay, just pick up the phone. Don't think, oh, good boy. Am I dating myself? Pick up the phone. Oh, boy. Yeah, just dial the number. If it's good to do, it's not good to debate about. Debate is the undoer of the good. 877-57-EQUAL is the number to call. Love to hear from you. I appreciate the visits. I'm Dr. Ray.
The most amazing saints from modern times, John Paul II, Maximilian Kolbe, and Maria Faustina with the Divine Mercy. This is Steve Ray. We invite you to join us on a pilgrimage to Poland and experience this incredible Catholic country, the land of saints, Catholic culture, gorgeous churches and shrines, and delicious food. Join us next April as we again visit Poland, one of our favorite pilgrimage destinations.
Find the Ave Maria Radio travel tab at AveMariaRadio.net. The Heart of the Interior Life with Elizabeth Jingle.
Within the context of St. Ignatius of Loyola's spiritual masterpiece called The Spiritual Exercises, we find what is called the 14 Rules for the Discernment of Spirits. We may consider, where did St. Ignatius' spiritual teaching on discernment originate from? The following is from his autobiography, which highlights the moment his spiritual teaching on discernment is born, when his eyes were opened a little. Yet there was this difference. When he was thinking about the things of the world, he took much delight in them. But afterwards, when he was tired and put them aside, he found that he was dry and discontented. But when he thought of going to Jerusalem, barefoot and eating nothing but herbs and undergoing all the other rigors that he saw the saints had endured, not only was he consoled when he had these thoughts, but even after putting them aside, he remained content and happy. He did not wonder, however, at this, nor did he stop to ponder the difference, until one time his eyes were opened a little.
For more information, visit AveMariaRadio.net.
Maybe you've been hearing a lot about the need to make a spiritual communion while participating from home in a live-streamed or broadcast Mass. By asking for spiritual communion, we are acknowledging that the Holy Mass is the perfect, best way to worship God. The priest intercedes perfectly for us with God the Father because he acts in persona Christi. This is the time to see that through the priest's representation of Christ's sacrifice on Calvary, we are never separated from our Lord. Jesus, I embrace you and unite myself wholly to you.
Very nice to be with you on this second day. Are you like me? You write out a check. Of course, people don't really write as many checks anymore, but I always wonder when I put the check in the envelope the first probably 3 weeks of the year, I think, did I put 2024? Oh. And then I open up the envelope, and of course, I have to rip it open. So then I lose the stamp, and then typically I find it was 2025. I wrote that down. Why? Because I'm real nervous about putting 2025 on the date of the check. You remember Y2K? The panic around Y2K? I remember in the living room, that was back when I could stay up till midnight, waiting for midnight, wondering if all the lights were going to go out, what was going to happen. And there was a potent buildup to everything's going to unravel. Make sure your money's taken care of because the banks are not going to be able to get to it because the computers are not set up for that. I remember this. I remember some of the radio shows pounding away at this. And nothing happened. Zero. And I got to thinking, how often does the media hype stuff up and get people all nervous and shook up over something that isn't going to happen? You know, in most of human history, you only knew what went on in your tiny, tiny little corner of the world. That was it. Where you lived, with the people that lived around you, with your family, that was it. That was your life. That was your world. Now, every scary piece of outcome, everything that is unraveling, everything that could potentially go wrong. The drones had everybody all shook up. I said to my wife this morning, where'd the drones go? I haven't heard anything about them for the last couple of weeks. They still there? No idea. Well, news media's moved on. Something else happened. And I noticed there's a phenomenon called generalized anxiety disorder. What that means is that you become preoccupied, nagging worries and unsettlement about life, about your kids, about religion, about finances. Just in general, there's an uneasiness to your existence, and it doesn't let you go. Huge factor in that is the 24/7 news cycle that just bombards you with everything that's going wrong, everything that could happen. I know there are studies out there that have analyzed the mental makeup in terms of depression or anxiety of people who swallow a lot of this stuff. And I have to, because I have to be somewhat aware of what's going on out there because of the radio show, because of the TV show. But I noticed that the vast majority, well, I'm going to say 99%, of what I take in, I can't do a single thing about. And I say to myself, why then do I pay attention to it? And I realize I'm looking for some kind of reassurance that maybe peace is going to break out over here. Or maybe these individuals who have been terrorizing the community are going to be caught. Looking for some kind of reassurance, really nice, uplifting religious figures that the younger people are turning toward religion more than they have in the last many, many years. So that kind of stuff is usually tucked in to this avalanche of media information that comes my way. But the majority of it is ugly. The majority of it makes you unsettled. The majority of it makes you think everything is just unraveling and morally gone to heck. Which it probably is. Unfortunately, the question, what can you do about it? What is your role? For most of us, we influence a very small circle of existence. Our families, maybe our tight circle of friends. And I know some of you are frustrated because you can't even influence your families. Some of you are frustrated because your families are upset at you because you think differently than they do and they don't want to have anything to do with you. By the way, I don't want to digress too much, but I saw a statistic. Again, here's the stuff that distresses you can't do anything about. 23% of those surveyed who called themselves, quote-unquote, progressives were either going to limit their time over the holidays with their family, or they were going to completely avoid their families over the holidays. 5% of those who call themselves conservative, religious, felt that way. Now, that says a couple of things. One, are those folks who call themselves conservative religious more tolerant? Goes against, of course, conventional wisdom, which says if you're religious and conservative, you're definitely sort of bigoted and narrow-minded. But it's interesting. 5 times, roughly, the amount of people who call themselves left, progressive, said over the holidays, I'm not having much to do with my family, or maybe nothing to do with my family. Why? Because of differences. That's the reason. Isn't it fascinating, though? You can still ask the question. What can you do about it? If you look at, for example, what's going on out there as a, say, non-religious person, and you're upset about it. And you're upset about it because some of your family or your friends don't think about it the same way you do. It causes you to act, does it not? If you allow it. If you allow it to upset you, if you say, isn't that terrible and awful the way the world is thinking and going and what's happening, and I don't like, for example, the results of how we vote? I am seriously distressed. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. If I let it, it could seriously distress me. I saw a statistic, and I think I brought the article to myself, and it'll be part of a future man-along. The number one killer in 2024, by far, dwarfed all other causes of death. Hearts, strokes, cancer, accidents, war. Number one killer. Clobbered all of them in numbers. Abortion. Estimates, 45 million babies in the womb last year, worldwide, were killed. You know, we make past cultures that were pagan cultures, that were God worshippers, and God with a little G. We make them look like pikers, really. They had human sacrifice. And yes, some of that human sacrifice, of course, was people that are living and breathing and on the face of the earth. But the question becomes, is that baby in the womb not human? Somehow has less status? So yeah, I looked at that figure, and I knew I couldn't do anything about it. I mean, yeah, I can influence who I can, where I can, however I can. But for the most part, that figure lies well beyond my influence. I wonder, what's the Lord going to do about it? When's he going to say, okay, enough? I don't know. No idea. But I do know this. If I immerse myself too deeply in all the goings-on around the world that is negative and ugly and immoral, it's harder for me to be happy. It's harder for me to be content. And the statistics are, especially among younger people, they have off the charts of anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, off the charts, highest ever recorded. They have anything to do with them? Never before being exposed at this level of what's going on out there. 877-573-7825. 877-57-equal. I would like to hear from you. Question about life. Comment about life. Maybe an insight on something that might help someone else. question. I think some of you may have shared a New Year's resolution. The phones are very quiet. Very quiet. And you're not supposed to say that. You know, as a host, you're not supposed to say, hey, there's nobody on the phones. Because that's not supposed to be. Oh, wait a minute. I spoke too soon. As soon as I said that, okay. I'll get to the phones here in a second. But the number is 877-573-7825. 877-57 is the number to call to get onto the program. And the phones were quiet. But now, all right. Okay, this is good, because this caller would be up first anyway, even if there were many, many, many people. She says, I have to disagree with you about what you were talking about, and I'm going to find out what I was talking about. I mean, you could disagree with me on a whole bunch of stuff, you know, but I have to know exactly which one it is that somebody's disagreeing with me. All right. I think it's Deborah Maria from Columbus. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Dr. Ray. Can you hear me okay?
You're coming through fine.
Okay. Yeah, well, I've talked to you before. I just wanted to make a response. I believe that one person, when you see what's, genocide, 125-year genocide in Palestine, I feel like my voice can still make a difference. I can still make a difference for the unborn. And I think that I came from a family where people were immigrants and refugees, like from Ireland, and people that my grandfather lost everything when he stood up to the KKK. So I was raised, I'm 69 now, that humankind as a family, what affects one affects all, and have a voice through Christ to make a difference. Pray for peace, work for justice. And I don't know a lifestyle different from that. So I've never felt emasculated when I worked for the unborn way before a lot of Christians took up on it. And so I believe that one person can make a difference. And as Catholics, we have the sacraments. We have the Holy Ghost. So when I serve, whether it's Palestinians or Israelis or anybody, or the unborn or the homeless, it energizes and gives me a meaning to my life. So I've never felt like I can't make a difference through love. And then my father was a military officer for 30 years. And like I said, with our background of religious that worked with Native peoples, First Nations peoples. So I just want to encourage people. I feel like the Holy Spirit really wanted me to call in and say, you can make a difference. Pray for peace, work for justice, and do what God has called you to do. But we all have a purpose, and you and I are with the church that Jesus Christ founded, along with the Orthodox Church. We have all the power of God at our fingertips to make a difference in this world. And I just wanted to encourage you and all the listeners.
Well, first of all, you are absolutely right, of course. Obviously. We all speak and do what we can do. I probably wasn't real clear when I said you have to be careful when you look at the overall picture and then you get discouraged. That's really my point that I was making. It's not the fact you don't just sit there and go, I can't do anything. Because think about it, Deborah. Why would I be even on this program?
Yes.
I have an Instagram where my most powerful views are coming from some of the religious things that I've said. And the Instagram costs me. It's not free. It costs me. I hire someone to do it, my son. And same thing with Facebook. So it's my biggest expense. But that's my way of saying, okay, I'm going to just use my voice wherever, however I can.
Okay.
So you're absolutely right. There's a differential is we do what we can, where we can, how we can. You're absolutely right. We have a lot of power. And I think in a lot of respects, some people believe that God may have had a direct hand in saving President Trump's life. He believes it. Okay?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Who wants to see Trump assassinated?
Turn his head at that point and have a bullet whiz by his ear.
I agree.
So given that, you're right. I guess what I'm saying is, for many people that I deal with, they're so discouraged and beaten down because of what's rushing at them all over the place. So maybe it ties in a little bit to what you're saying, Deborah, because if you get beaten down, you're not going to do what you do, which is to continue to persevere, right?
Right. And people, whether it's Sudan, Congo, West Bank, Israel, wherever, they don't have time, like with the Palestinians, they don't have time to despair. They're not despairing, they're moving on, and they're doing, through a horrible thing. And it's like Congo, Sudan, but I just, really, brother, my sister worked with Mother Teresa. She met Mother Teresa, little tiny lady. I have a brother who's in a religious order taking care of the most St. John of God hospitalers. We make a difference in the world, and I get you, brother. I understand, you hear it, you get overwhelmed, but with everything that's going on, I get real small with God. In my marriage, we're all married to Jesus, if you're Christian. I get small with God, and I let God show me how to pray. And we are tempted to despair, and we are tempted to get overwhelmed, but go back into your prayer closet and be with Jesus, and let the sacrament of communion change your life. And I just want to, I know there's people out there, Ray, that just feel emasculated, but do what God has called you. And I just, and some of that comes with a price. My grandfather lost everything when he stood up to the KKK. And so what I'm saying, this was, years ago, but I think it's great that what you're doing on this show, I pray for your ministry, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to really encourage our brothers and sisters out there to go for it, to yes, feel your feelings and get refreshed with your family, but then go back and into, prayer and spiritual warfare if you feel led, and all that, and works of mercy. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. This is one of the kinder disagreeers that I've had.
Oh, okay.
That's great. No, thank you so much. And keep in mind, when people disagree, oftentimes it's because they mishear the message of what someone was saying. You heard me say, don't do anything because you can't, you're helpless. And I was saying no such thing. I was just saying don't get beaten down by the stuff that's coming at you. Deborah, thank you. Happy New Year to you, dear. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. I got a 30 seconds. At least you are up next from Fargo. Yes, that is, that's one of those situations, Elise, where we have our heads so totally buried because the evidence is starting to come out overwhelmingly that we're on a bad trajectory with that. And more of it's coming out. And some psychiatrists are even starting to speak up. So you stay right there because I got to take a hard break here. And then we will come back. I'm Dr. Ray, 877-573-7825, 877-57-EQUAL. We got a lot of time left, about 24, 25 minutes in the show, which for me is about, 3 sentences? Yeah. I speak 200 to 400 words a minute with gusts up to 800. One could ask the question, and I think this taps into what I was talking about. When you feel so overwhelmed by what's happening, you give up. And I think that our governments have given up in the sense that I don't know how many states now say that not only is marijuana legal for certain medical reasons, which again are still controversial, but it's legal for recreational use. And there hasn't been much attention paid to the effects. I saw a statistic, and I'm going to get to Elise here in a second. I saw a statistic that the daily use of marijuana is now at an all-time high. And regular use, and I don't know what, I didn't define that, whether it's once a week or what it was, 21% of those surveyed. So, Elise has a question from Fargo, North Dakota. Hi, Elise.
Hello, Dr. Ray. Can you hear me okay?
Did you come to the show when we did the show in Fargo?
I did not. I'm actually a student at UMary, and I'm home for the holidays. So that's why I'm in Fargo now.
I'm going to let it slide then. All right, I'll let it go, but don't let it happen again.
Oh, I won't.
Are you a student?
Dr. Ray.
Are you a student at UMary?
Yes, I am actually a third-year physical therapy student. My name is Emily, and I have been just everywhere, and I'm really thankful for what University of Mary has given me. I feel just so grateful for everything.
You know,
that I have.
you physical therapists, man, you got to go all the way to a PhD, don't you?
Not quite. We need a bachelor's degree, and then once we complete the prerequisites, then we encounter the doctorate program, which is a 3-year, year-round program, and it is several semesters of didactic learning and then several semesters of internships, unpaid. But
yeah.
Still very, very valuable, very valuable. I've been having just, thankfully, a wonderful time.
Well, our whole population getting older, we need you guys big time. So what prompted What prompted
sorry. Sorry, can I say?
Sure.
When you were mentioning about weightlifting earlier today, I resonated with that full-heartedly. Please continue, Dr. A. I'm sorry for that interruption.
Well, I'll respond to that. The research is coming out, and you know this. Now, is it Emily or Elise? It says Elise up here. But
Emily,
it's
sir.
Emily. Okay. When you know this, the research is just coming out in waves that strength training, in some respects, is better than cardio training.
Yes.
Absolutely, because it does so much, not only for the body, but it sustains quality of living. Most people don't realize how much they lose if they do nothing by age 50.
Oh, goodness. When we hit 30, our bones already start to just kind of, demineralize a bit. It comes fast.
Did you ever see those charts where they talk about physical strength? And it peaks around age 32, not in terms of perseverance, but just flat out one-time physical strength peaks around age 32, and then it declines, like a percent a year after that, correct? Something like that? Or muscle mass is about 1% of muscle mass per year, something along those lines? And by the time you're 55, you're 25% weaker than you were at 32. But if you see
I would say
even more?
There is always room to strength train, even if you're 85 and can move around. I would say that the studies definitely highlight that it's, as you said, is a little tougher to weight train as you age, but in regards to what it can do to increase your functionality, it's priceless. It's so priceless.
They put people in nursing homes on 12-week programs, and they were just shocked at the gains. But my point I was making, Emily, was that if you look at the graph for somebody who strength trains, it peaks later. It peaks into the 30s, later into the 30s, and the decline over time is much flatter. I started lifting when I was 19, and my peak strength, it did not ebb. If you go just simply by max lift, it didn't ebb until about 12 years ago. That's when it started to go down. But even
can I ask how old you are, Dr. Ray?
72.
Really?
Yeah. I know. Wow. I just blew it. I know. I tease Teresa about her age. She's way younger than I am. But here, let me just give you an example. 80-pound dumbbells, right, Emily? 80-pound dumbbells, one hand, each hand. On the dumbbell bench, before I had a surgery that I just had a couple months ago, I got it 21 times.
Wow.
And I'm only 170 pounds.
That's awesome.
So you can see how long you can sustain physical strength. Yeah, I used to use the hundreds and fives 15 years ago.
Yes.
But that's not much of a come down because I could only do those 10 times. So this time, I could probably still do the 90s maybe 12 times.
Mm-hmm. The awesome thing about strength is that it's a combination of just so much muscles and kinematics. For me, when I think of strength, I think of functionality. If I see an 85-year-old woman who has 4 steps to get into her home and she has trouble navigating 8-inch steps, I think, okay, what muscles do we have to train to increase stability and increase the strength so that she can safely navigate the steps into her house? Personal records and in the weight room is fantastic. And as long as you can translate that work in the weight room to your real life, that's even better. And I think going into the weight room just provides that consistent breaking down and building up of your muscles, which is needed now way more than ever, especially as sedentary as we all are. I mean, TVs, phones, everything is just weighs us down in so many ways, not just mental.
What prompted you to ask the question about the psychological effects of cannabis use?
I am a Gen Z, and a lot of my peers just seems to really push for the legalization of it. And I'm just thinking, okay, how can I appeal to the scientific aspect of this is why cannabis may not be beneficial in the long run, and because it is a mind-altering substance. I also know several patients, and they have diseases that are chronic, such as fibromyalgia or other sort of chronic pain disease. They turn to cannabis because they feel like it's their only way out. And I would like to hear you talk about the psychological effects of cannabis, why people may be prompted to use it recreationally, and what information can I arm myself with?
Sure. First thing, this ain't your daddy's cannabis. Much more potent. It is much more potent. There are tetrahydrocannabinols in cannabis. There's probably, I don't know, I forget how many, dozens of them. But the main one is delta-9, tetrahydrocannabinol, and that's the one that gives it this effect, big effect. Well, the stuff that's coming out now is probably 15 to 20 times more potent than the stuff in the 70s and 80s. Much more. Okay, so that's the first thing.
Ouch.
Yeah, it is. Look it up. It's much more potent. Secondly, you don't know what you're getting. Nobody that sells you cannabis is going to have a list of ingredients on it. Many of the drug overdoses now with the fentanyl are accidental. They didn't know. It wasn't that they were taking fentanyl to go, okay, I want to see the loop I can get. No. These are folks that stuff's been mixed in. So that's 2. 3, long-term use is pretty consistent that you will just simply lose motivation. You will flatten out. That's a given.
That's what I was getting at, Dr. Ray, because I also saw another study that says certain types of cannabis can increase your stimuli, kind of similar to drugs like Adderall and such like that. But I'm really thankful that you brought up that last point.
Absolutely. It affects motivation long term. It also, for example, is intoxicating. So if you're driving under the influence of cannabis, well, you're paralleling alcohol. Your reactions are slower. You're intoxicated. It's harder to test for, but it's there. Another one, right, and this is big, and I'm seeing this in psychiatry. I've seen several psychiatrists come out and say they are finding a dramatic uptick in psychotic reactions among people who only use cannabis. They're not using other drugs. It's not complicated by, well, yeah, but he's experimenting with meth and he's got other stuff in his system. Just cannabis. And furthermore, I remember this was about 8 years ago. I was going to a talk, and the emergency room doc who picked me up, he said, I'm getting frightened. I said, what's that? He says, I'm seeing people come into the emergency room, cannabis users, who are in the midst of a psychotic break, and they're not recovering. I personally have people that I know who killed somebody, and one was a cannabis user, and she was vulnerable, and she, in fact, did it probably while she was smoking regularly. And then the other one killed his father. He was 22, 21, something like that. He has been now in a locked setting for 7 years, and they cannot get his psychosis to clear up, which is weird. Typically...
Well, I think it makes sense, because cannabis is lipophilic, which means that it can just easily penetrate our cells in our brain. Our brain is a bunch of fat, is what it is. There's so much lipid layers, and cannabis can just penetrate it no problem. So I can just see just how that overload, especially just how potent it is, I can see where that can cause these psychotic breakdowns. I did know that has not been mentioned anywhere in my research,
look it up.
Dr. Ray.
Look it up. I've seen several pieces. I saw one in First Things where a psychiatrist was talking about it. I've said somewhere I've talked informally. Google it or internet search it, DuckDuckGo, and say, okay, cannabis use and psychosis. It's risky. It's just, and the thing of it is, we're just rushing headlong into, well, okay, everybody's going to do it, so we might as well just say, okay, if you want to do it, you can do it, because there's going to be a black market, and we can't stop the black market. Yeah, the problem is, though, if you look at the stats, since cannabis has been legalized, the use of it has exploded.
They even sell cannabis drinks in states that legalize it, like Minnesota and Colorado.
I know. So there you are, my dear. You are a delightful call. You keep up the good work, because guys like me need you, you know. When my joints act up. Thanks, Emily. I'll see you, dear.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ray. Take care. Bye.
Way past break, man. You get me rambling on physical stuff, and I'm just into it. This is Dr. Ray.
The Wine Palace in Livonia is a proud sponsor of Ave Maria Radio. The Wine Palace is a family-owned business for over 60 years where customers come in for a great service. The 9,000-square-foot store includes a humidor, specialty wine room, and a rare and collectible spirits room. We have the largest selection of spirits in the state at the most competitive prices. Ask for one of the brothers, Cliff or Kelly, and thank them for their strong support of Catholic Radio. Delivery is available. Please visit the Wine Palace at I-96 in Middlebelt or at winepalacemi.com. Fire on the Earth's Peter Herbeck.
The battle is fierce in the church today. The Lord's totally in charge and calls us to participate in His mission. But our nation itself is convulsing. There's just massive division and struggle and problems that are going on. There's a lot of stuff that's, I think, profoundly offensive to God. And we as a people can make a huge difference simply by living differently in these days. So Jesus said, if you want to become my disciple, my follower, you must deny yourself. To deny yourself is deny the capacity in us to just simply say, I'm my own master, I'm my own maker. Instead, it's a heart change. It's a directional change. And say, now, the life I now live, I'm living by faith in the Son of God. I want what He wants. And second, take up your cross daily. The cross isn't just simply, oh, I got a headache today. The real cross is standing against, in love, in courage, the resistance of the world, of political systems, of social systems and social networks and things that literally stand against God and the will of God and God's plan. And if you said, yes, Lord, I want to follow you, I'm putting you first, I want to deny myself, pick up my cross, and I want to come after you because I want to seek to please you in all my life.
Peter Herbeck spreads fire on the earth, weekday mornings at 6:30 and again at 11:45 on Ave Maria Radio.
You're not supposed to do what I just did, which is I blew right past the soft break. Soft break gives you a lot of wiggle room. And typically we take a soft break, Andrew, around 140, 146, something like that. And I didn't take it till about 152. So that was not good. Nevertheless, We have a clock in here that has numbers on it, and it's not digital. It's kind of like the old-fashioned. So it confuses me. I look up there, I go, what time is it really? I don't know. Which is a problem, by the way, because that used to be, believe it or not, that used to be part of a test where you wanted to see if someone in the front end of dementia could put the hands on a clock where they belonged. If you said to them, please draw a picture and we'll put the numbers around and give me 10:15. Well, now more and more young people are not seeing numbers on a clock. Everything's digital. So we've been noticing that our usefulness of that particular assessment of brain damage is falling by the wayside. Kind of like ink blots, you know. We still use those. I haven't for years. Thanks for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. I appreciate it so very much. Blessed and Happy New Year. And remember, don't debate. Do it, or you will lose. Dr. Ray.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.